Today we are setting up a brand new Segway X160 and putting it to the test. It basically comes pre-assembled. You just got to throw on the handlebars and the front tire and you're ready to rock and roll. This e-bike is extremely similar to the Sur Ron X and X160. The main difference being it comes with a smaller battery that's not going to give you as much power or range, and a smaller controller. It also comes with 17-inch wheels, which isn't a bad thing if you're going to put street tires on it. And instead of dual clamp forks, this bike's going to come with single clamps without a compression adjustment. When you get a Segway, you get to choose a color, which is awesome. The seat has really cool styling, and it comes with a 58-tooth sprocket, which is really going to help you in the low end. The suspension on this bike is softer, intended for a lighter rider, but let's hit the trails and really see what it can do.
We are out for my first ride on the 160. And I can already tell you, it is quite a bit slower than a Sur Ron. The max payload on this is 176 pounds. This bike is really meant for like a kid or someone small who's just learning how to ride dirt bikes. It's definitely not meant for someone big and experienced on rowdy trails like this. But I want to show you guys what it can do here, because here there'll be things that it can do well and things that it probably can't do at all. I mean, we'll see. But I can do all these trails with the stock Sur Ron, and I think there's going to be some sections here that are too steep for this much torque. I've also got my phone going, so I'm going to let you guys know the range. So it's going to be a really good, thorough test before I upgrade it to be a stock Sur Ron, basically. The reason I bought this bike is because everything's the same as this on a Sur Ron, except for the battery, controller, and suspension. And I have all that stuff from my other bike. And even if you don't have all that stuff, you could buy it super cheap on Facebook, sell this battery and controller for probably $600 or $700. And then you've got yourself a cheaper Sur Ron that you didn't have to wait for Luna's pre-order for. So that's really why I bought the bike. But I figured I should test out what a full-size adult does on it before I swap it over. The suspension is super soft on this one. Me, with all my gear, we're probably looking at 170, and the max payload is 176. So we're basically there. And the suspension is so nice for this kind of single track, bumpy riding. I'm amazed with the torque. This is really fun. I would super recommend this bike to a beginner, actually. You don't get that initial torque like you do on the Sur Ron when you're kind of leaning too far in on a corner and you can power out of it. You're missing that with this bike, but I want to say for this type of riding, just like enduro, hopping over little walks and rogs, the suspension feels even better. It's probably not going to last any long. It's obviously weaker, but I mean, look at this hill it's climbing right now, and I'm not bouncing around at all. The ride height's lower with these 17-inch wheels. The stock Sur Ron has 19s. This thing is so much fun, and I forget how quiet stock bikes are. The extra power from the Lightspeed 72 volt and the chain conversion really adds some sound. So on the site, it says max speed 31 miles an hour and range 40 miles. The stock Sur Ron goes like 45 and the range is like maybe 40 miles. I've never gone 40 miles, but some people who just like commute on there say they have. This thing's a little beast. The ride height is definitely lower. I've hit the pegs a few times already. If we're doing the same exact trail on my other bike, I wouldn't, but that's not a big deal. This bike also comes with a 58 tooth, which is great. Then you don't need to buy that extra sprocket. And it's got nice low end actually. Like, you can't exactly do a power wheelie, but you can pop it up and do some wheelies on this thing, no problem. I mean, you could imagine just by the fact that it's making it up these hills alone. This is full throttle. We're probably going, yeah, 19K right now. We're going like 6 miles an hour full throttle up that hill. It's not that steep, but you could throw your kid on this bike and he could get to where you're going. And for $3,000, that's the main thing. How can you beat this much fun for $3,000? And if you're gonna upgrade all the suspension and power of your bike, this is a way better place to start. Why wait 2 months for your pre-order? And then have all the stuff ready to go by the time it comes to you. This doesn't make any sense. And you can get colors. I got the matte red. I'm really excited about that actually. The trails are nice right now. We got a little rain earlier in the week. Most of the snow is gone. It's great. No, honestly, the suspension feels awesome. I might put this rear on my big bike. It's so much softer. You'd bottom it out a lot easier on a big jump or something, but shoot, I've got my Fox 40s on and at full rebound, full compression, I bottom those out on big tabletops anyways. No worries. That's one thing about these trails. Sometimes you don't hear the bikes coming if they're just rolling down in neutral. And they definitely don't hear you coming. So this bike has the same motor, same exact frame, same hubs, all that, which is basically the only thing that people keep stock on these, it seems like. So you got everything you need here. The only thing is with the dual clamp forks, there's another bearing in the head here, so that you'd have to purchase separately. I think that's like 60 bucks, but a lot of people upgrade that anyways because the ones you get from Sur Ron aren't that great. So it just seems like a no-brainer to me. It's like, why aren't people talking about this? And I'm like, well, I'll just buy one, do the project, and if it works, then I'll talk about it. And so far, I'm pleasantly surprised with what this thing is capable of. Another thing is if you're upgrading just to go back to a stock Sur Ron, so many people are upgrading their stock Sur Rons so you can buy the controllers and everything super cheap. But I'll do a full video on that, so let's just ride the bike and see how it feels. Well, it's no problem getting over these logs, but apparently that is not a motorcycle trail. We've been going full throttle uphill. We've lost a bar. Honestly, I'm surprised it made it up this far. That's pretty amazing on its own right. See, bottom the suspension on that, but if you're just doing trialsy stuff, I mean, it's not a big deal. So these forks don't have a compression setting, just rebound. But honestly, the forks that come with the stock Sur Ron, you're not getting a whole lot of difference when you change that compression dial. mean, this thing isn't fast, but it certainly isn't slow either. It'll be interesting to see what my top speed and average speed was on my app. I'm getting a good feel for it, trusting the tires. Having a bigger front, you definitely roll over the obstacles easier, and it feels more raked out, so your contact patch is a little further ahead, because the steering feels more stable on the full-size Sur Ron. But I'm sure a bigger tire would do that with this, and I will experiment that in the future. Man, this thing rips. I'm so impressed. I did not think it would get up here this easy. That's the thing about electric power, just the torque. This thing's like 3 kilowatts. The Sur Ron is like 6 or 7, I think. But still, she's got it where it counts for this kind of riding. I wouldn't be going much faster on my full-size bike. I would on the uphills, but that's about it. I love these trails so much. Just come here after work, shred. Too much fun. Now I'll have 2 Sur Rons, so I got my friends come with me. That was another reason. Huge benefit of having 2 Sur Rons. Have your buddies out to ride with you. All right, I think we got a steep hill here. Before we go home, we are finding a hill climb this can't do. That's full throttle right there. See, preload the suspension and hop over that little log. No problem. I feel like if the Sur Ron feels almost like riding a super powerful mountain bike, this feels like riding a super powerful BMX bike, you could say. I can't believe how this thing handles with me basically its max payload. Here we go, here's a steep one. Can it do it? Yeah, like it's nothing. Man, we might hit traction problems before we hit just torque problems. All right, I think we got some steep stuff coming this way, or straight ahead too. That's like a guaranteed steep. I've been here just a few days ago. Steep, rocky. Last time I was here was covered in mud and I could hardly make it up in the 72 volt. Oh, we're slowing down to a crawl. That was driver error. This thing's a beast. The smaller back tire definitely bounces around more on those rocks, but hey, that is a super cheap upgrade if you're buying this as someone full size. I am so impressed. I want to say I'm noticing power loss already in power. It's here. 37%. Oof. Yeah. You guys aren't going to get a whole lot of range out of this if you weigh anything close to me or more. I mean, I've probably only been riding like 20 minutes up here. But we made it to the top. At the end of the day, Isn't that what we're looking for? A bike that can make it to the top. Yeah, it's normally with e-bikes, 40% battery, no matter what battery you have, you start to notice the loss. And we're really starting to notice it. So I'm not going to be able to do a big hill climb to fully stop it, but I know for sure some of the hill climbs at this place would knock it right out. So I'm going to turn around before the battery gets too low. I'll check back in with you guys once we're going in the downhill section. All right guys, we're about to hit the downhill section. We'll see how the suspension, tire size, the whole setup does on the downhill. But just to check in, we've been riding for 20 minutes. We've used almost 70% of our battery and we've gone 3 miles. Given that is all uphill, we're about to go downhill, see if we get any regen, get some more miles in without using much power. Because obviously, normally, if you go up, you gotta come down. So those miles definitely count, but I wouldn't buy this thing thinking you're gonna go hill climbing with your friend on his KTM all day. That's for sure. It's not gonna happen. So I will say, the smaller tires, I'm noticing that problem a lot more on the downhill. That is for sure. And I haven't even got to the steeper sections yet. Oh yeah. The smaller tires, you don't have as big a contact patch for braking. It's not just as physically large for rolling over the stumps and rocks, which when you're going uphill, you're taking a lot of that weight off. But on downhill, you got all the weight on it because you're braking and you notice it a lot more. But the suspension feels way better than the suspension does right now on the stock bike. I got the RST Killas, and either way, you're basically gonna need to replace those eventually, but this feels surprisingly good. I doubt they'd last very long being run like this all the time, but hey, you start with something and then you upgrade it as you need to. That's what I did with my first bike. Well, if you find yourself needing an extra battery for this thing, I'm only gonna use it this once and then sell it, so shoot me an email. My email's in the description if you're looking for one, and I can hook you up. Used once, and you've seen exactly how I used it. So I could have used a little more. I broke that stump with my head. I'm just on the little bike, I said. I can't hurt myself. Let's see. Takes it like a champ, just like the regular Sur Ron. Just a little bit of stem adjustment and you're on your way. 28%, I'm just gonna go back to the truck. I don't want to push it. What a good ride. I thought that a lot of those hills it wouldn't be able to go up before I got on this thing. I thought the battery was going to die even quicker with me at weight capacity going straight up. 5% battery. Let's see where we're at. So just over 5.5 miles, almost 40 minutes. We could have gone 40 minutes with that extra 5%, but so our average pace was 6.5 minute miles. Elevation gain 1,600 feet. Yeah, it's not going to show me top speed since I didn't select a bike. That's a bummer, but I can do a top speed run on the next battery for you guys. If you're interested, let me know in the comments. And if you hadn't ridden a dirt bike that weighs under 120 pounds, this is the beauty of it all right here. Little wheelie, and you're in the back of your truck.